What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. Um, I just got off of work and I was thinking a lot of work today about how hard it is to go to work sometimes, especially on any day. I thought I was going to come up with something better than that, but I don't. A lot of dads and moms, but I'm just going to talk about dads because this is just how I feel. A lot of dads struggle with feeling like they work too much and they're not home enough, and how it hurts the kids. And I know I personally struggle with this because there's nothing more heartbreaking than when you're about to leave for work and your kids are just like, Daddy, don't go. Don't go to work. Why can't you just stay home? Because, they're kids and they don't understand that, work is not a choice, right? The bills still have to be paid. Everything's still going on. The world's still moving. And as much as you want to freeze those moments where it's just you and your kids, we don't have that option. And I was getting up for my shift this morning and it was 3:30, and I was just sitting there thinking how much time I had missed out with my kids, whether it was because it was a day shift or a night shift and it happened to fall on a holiday, or uh, overtime came and we needed the money and I had to take it, and just all the things that I've missed over the years. And it really struck me that, this isn't just something that I struggle with. I work with other dads, I talk to other dads that deal with this same mental struggle of having to work crazy hours, or having to work swing shift or night shift or second, third shift, and how hard it is, not just on your body and mentally, because it's hard, but on your relationship with your family. So I just want to remind you guys that you're not bad dads for going to work. Your kids are little. They don't understand money. They don't understand that, you have to pay these bills. They don't see the stress you're under because you're dad and you're their superhero. And we will never let that weight show. And it's okay to not be okay sometimes. It's okay for it to hurt, or for you to feel that burden, because it is a burden when you have to go to work and you know that there's other things you could be doing with your kids to make their childhoods better, or not even so much better because you're working to provide a childhood and a better childhood, but to create a lasting memory. And I've missed out on plenty. I've missed out on vacations. I've missed out on trips. I've missed out on uh, fun get-togethers, movie nights, having all the kids over, our friends and their kids coming over. And I had my son whenever I was really young, my oldest son. I had him at 19, and I wasn't the perfect dad at 19. I don't think any 19-year-old dad is. And I screwed up a lot, but I remember how hard it was trying to balance being a dad while also still being young and trying to figure out, shit, this is my life now. And I still think, shit, it never stopped. I'm still figuring shit out. I'm still, working and paying bills, and that never stopped. And, now he's getting older and I've been on swing shift since he was old enough to walk. And he still says, Dad, do you have to go to work tonight? Dad, can you just stay home with me? And it crushes my heart every time. And now it's not just him asking it, it's the cute little 3-year-old voice saying, "Daddy, don't go," and hugging me really tight. Or it's my little girl holding on to me, not wanting me to walk out the door. Or worse, knowing that I'm walking out the door and thinking that we're going to go on an adventure in the car, and this is just an adventure I can't take her on. And that's hard. And I guess the topic today is dad guilt. Not a lot of dads feel like they have a safe space to talk about the guilt they feel for just being dads or being providers. And every dad needs to talk about it. You do not need to sit there and let that guilt eat at you when what you are doing is being a good provider for your children or your spouse, if you're providing for your spouse too. Because there are single dads out there and they're just working their ass off to provide for those kids and working really hard. And you are doing what you have to do. You're busting your ass, you're putting those hours in, you're paying those bills, you're providing for those kids, and you're giving them the best life that you can. And as long as you're trying and as long as you're showing up, you're a good fucking dad, period. And that goes for moms too. I know single moms that are just fucking killing it and they are rocking it. They are going to school and they're working hard and they're doing their thing. And same for them, for the moms that feel this too. It's not just dads, but again, I'm a dad, so this is just my experience as a dad. And this is the Modern Fatherhood podcast. But I do know single moms that struggle with a lot of this stuff too, um, and moms in general. Moms feel guilt too. Uh, but when you are feeling those feelings of dad guilt and you're struggling with having to go to work, um, or feeling like you're not home enough, remember the reason you're doing it. Like when you walk in the door and your kids see you and they run up to you and they're like, "Dad, Dad's home," and they're giving you a hug, that's the most beautiful moment in the world. It doesn't compare to anything. And I don't think anything will ever touch it on how that makes you feel when your kids are happy to just see you home. And yeah, straight into the chaos. It gets hectic. They want to know how your day is. You want to know how their day is. And they're hugging you, they're climbing on you, they want to show you this cool stuff or this toy. And oh, they want to watch this movie with you for family movie night, or we have plans and we have to immediately get ready and start going. All those things are, real things that you deal with, but those are beautiful moments. And just like those beautiful moments that you working hard for provides, that's what you're doing it for. You're doing it for those smiles. You're doing it for the clothes on their back, the air conditioning in your house. You're doing it for the food on the table. And you're doing a great job. It's a hard topic to talk about because, again, not a lot of people talk about dad guilt. If you look up right now, dad guilt, you'll see a handful of videos that are actually about dad guilt. I've done it before because I was just like, surely somebody else has to be dealing with this feeling I'm having. And there was only so many that were actually true videos about dad guilt, like a dad talking about it. And it was hard to connect with some of them. And I'm not saying everyone's going to connect with me on this because I'm just a guy talking to his phone on the way home from work. But it's fucking hard. I've worked anywhere from, say, 40 hours to 80 hours. Or right now, I'm pushing two jobs sometimes. And The other week I worked 106 hours and I was not home at all. And I felt terrible. And I had this tunnel vision about this is how much money I needed to make that week. And I had tunnel vision about if I work this many hours on a second job, I can make this much money. And if I make this much money, it puts us this much closer to our goal, or it puts me this much closer to not having to feel this weight, even though no amount of money is going to change the stress I feel about being a provider. I worked those hours and I was not home. And because I got that tunnel vision, I was in a moment where I was not taking my partner's feelings into consideration. And my kids were sad as shit because daddy wasn't home except for like 3 hours. And it was a huge fucking moment where I realized I fucked up because there's a line that you do have to draw. You have to you have to balance it. You have to balance work and home. You have to balance being there and being a present dad for your kids. There are some times where in real life you cannot be home as much as you want. There are times where you're working those shifts and you have to work and there's no choice. Or if like say you're a truck driver and you're on the road, obviously you don't have a fucking choice. You're gone from your house. But the difference between that and what I'm talking about is I made the choice to go do those hours. I made that choice, and my choice caused damage. And for one of the few times, the guilt I felt was not just dad guilt because I wasn't home or I was missing something or I had to work. It was, I felt dad guilt because I knew that I screwed up and I was actively making a choice and getting that tunnel vision and just focusing solely on the bills and on money that I was neglectful in a way to my family. And that hit me like a truck. And I remember my partner used the word neglect and it hit me and it made me so mad because I was just like, I'm not neglectful, but in a way I was because all my kids wanted was breakfast with dad and I was getting off of work from one job and immediately starting the other. And then I wouldn't get home except for enough time to take a shower or enough time to say hey. And then they were probably taking a nap. And that hit me like a truck when I realized that I chose that. So, as a dad and as a provider, you have to balance that shit. You have to. It's not a choice, just like providing isn't a choice or having a job isn't a choice. You have to make money. Kids are expensive. Life is expensive. This economy is shit. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But you still have to make the active choice to be an active dad, even when you get off that 12-hour shift or even after you worked all night. You can't just get home and say, I'm tired and not participate or be active with those kids. You can't fucking do that. Or if you're getting off third shift or like my night shifts, I don't get home and go straight to sleep. No, because whenever I get home, because I drive an hour, whenever I get home, I'm seeing my oldest off to school. And a short while after that, I'm getting my middle child ready for school if it's a day he goes to school. And right around the time we're getting close to leaving for that, my little girl gets up. And then I have a chance, if their mom doesn't wake up, to let her sleep in. Or that's a moment where I can be like, hey, Let's go get donuts with the two little ones, or just the one, or I can go get breakfast with her, or there's stuff that I could be doing first thing in the morning where I can do that. And whether it's errands or whatever it could be, I'm sure you have a checklist of shit you need to get done. I'm not perfect at it, especially when I'm on night shifts. Shit. There are some night shifts or whenever I get off in the morning, I'm going cross-eyed and I'm just trying to make it. Once I get home, after we get home from taking the kids places, and I'm just sitting down, I'll go, and then eventually I'll just be like, "Hey, mom, I gotta get some sleep," and we trade off. But you have to be an active partner and you have to be an active dad, no matter what hours you're working or what you're doing. I understand this does not apply to everybody. There are some people that this cannot apply to, and it's out of their control. And again, this is just from me and my life, my experience. But parenting is hard. Being a provider is hard. When you become a dad, everything changes. You're not just an individual person. And even if, like, take the relationship out of the equation and say you're not providing for her, y'all aren't splitting the bills 50-50, all of a sudden you have a little child, a little tiny human that is solely dependent on you. And you have to get clothes, diapers, formula if they breastfeed, or if they don't breastfeed. I'm sorry. Um, and if they do breastfeed, you better have breast pumps and bags and the nipple balm and everything to help her because that shit fucking sucks. And they're putting their bodies through hell to feed that baby. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you have to have diaper cream, you have to have bottles, the whole nine. And it doesn't stop. Baby's not going to wait for you to get your shit together. So you just pick up and go. And from the moment they're born, you are an example to what a provider is supposed to be. If your family dynamic is in that way, it's not always the same for every family. Not every family is lucky enough to have a stay at home mom. Or in some cases, it's a single dad or a single mom providing, or stay at home dads. That's a thing too. A stay at home dad is at home and the mom is providing. You can't just stop. You got to get up every day and you got to keep going. And not only are you an example of what a provider is supposed to be, if you are a man, and I'm specifically talking to the dads, you are an example for what your daughter is going to accept from a man. You are going to be that standard. So when you think about the way you're acting and the way you are living your life and the life you are building, you are setting the standard for what she thinks a man is. And when you set that standard, try to word this very carefully here. When you set that standard, you need to make sure that your daughter or son will never accept anything less than the best for them. I'm not saying that they should be shallow and say, oh, well, I didn't have, you know, I had all this growing up. So if you can't offer me that, then I'm, we're not doing that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that she should not settle for a life that is not to a standard of comfort and health, period. And I'm not saying this as a shot at anybody, but if, say, you're a man and you have a good job, or you don't have a good job, as long as you have a fucking job, and sorry, uh, and you're working and you're busting your ass and you're building your life, and you find this girl, and you're talking about wanting to spend the rest of your life with them, and you go to their dad and you say, "Sir, I want to marry your daughter." What do you have to offer her? A one bedroom apartment? Are you ready to build a family? Are you ready to come together and join? If you're in a small single dude one bedroom apartment, I'm not saying that as a shot to anybody, because when me and my partner got together, you know what I had? A fucking one bedroom apartment. I miss that thing. It was so easy to clean. So easy to clean. But the dad's gonna look at you and say, "Well, what do you bring to the table for my daughter? Are you a good loving man? How do you treat her? What are your beliefs? What do you stand on? What's your morals?" And they're gonna ask you, "What's your job? Do you have a plan for your future?" All these things. And that's a factor in it. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm getting in dangerous territory so fast. I'm not saying that the woman shouldn't bring something to the table too. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the case that it is like I'm talking about right now, as a father, those are the questions I'm going to ask. If a man comes to me saying, "Hey, I want to spend the rest of my life with your daughter," I'm going to make sure that life is a good life for her. And she's going to see the life that I work to provide, and the way that I love their mom, and the way I treated them and I treated their mom. And they're going to see how I did it. And they're going to see how I treated them. And they're going to know that that is not exactly, because nobody's perfect, but they should not accept anything less than unconditional love and care. And you have to set that standard every day as a dad. And that's a heavy weight. And my ADHD tirade went there. There was like three times where I blanked and I was just like, where was I going again? But as a dad, every day you set that standard, and your kids are watching, and they're seeing you. They're seeing you on your bad days. They're seeing you on your tired days. They're seeing you on your sad days, your depressed days, your angry days. They're seeing you every day. And it's your job to keep showing up and to put that shit aside and show up for your kids. There are going to be times where you're dog tired. But when your kid comes up to you and says, "Dad, will you read this book with me?" Yeah, it's not hard to read a book. Might feel hard because you're tired, but it's not hard to read a book. You can do it. Or because they're like, "Dad, can we go outside?" Yeah, go outside. Take that time with them. I'm not saying there's not going to be days where you can't do it because you're so tired. Every dad has those days. And that's when it comes to having a partner, if you have one. To the dads that don't have one, or the moms that don't have one, I understand. And I'm not saying any of this is a shot to you, but you have to show up, even on the days you don't want to, even on your bad days. And back to showing your kids the standard for how they are supposed to treat someone and be with kids. I see it so much. And what I'm about to say, it is not a bad thing if you are in a traditional relationship or marriage. It is not a bad thing if you have blue and pink jobs. As long as that is communicated in your relationship and that is agreed upon, and those boundaries are respected, and the communication is open, then that can be a beautiful thing. I personally am not in a traditional type esque relationship. I am the provider. I do provide. I take care of the money stuff. I take care of the cars. I take out the trash. I do all of those things. But I also help with the kitchen and the dishes and bath time and helping clean the house and all those things and taking care of the kids. As soon as I get off of work, there are some days where, I get home and I'm like, okay, I have to shower. So before I touch the kids because of what I work with. But for the most part, I come in, okay, I'm home, right into it. Every dad needs decompression time sometimes. That's totally okay. Communicate it with your partner. But make sure you show up, not just for your kids, but for your partner too. It's not fair for you to be working and to just leave it all to your partner. Even if you have pink and blue jobs or it is a traditional relationship, you should still always check and make sure your partner is okay and make sure that there's nothing that they need. Or, hey, do you need help with anything before you take that decompression time? Or, hey, what can I do to help you before I take this time? Or, do you need anything? It's not hard things, but it's the communication. And your kids will see that. They'll either see that dad came home and mom's still taking care of everything, or they'll see dad came home and mom and dad took care of everything. And if you're in the case where you and their parent are still together, that is important for them to see. And again, it's another standard that is set for their lives, for those young men and for those young women. And that falls on you. I can't get into the things that the mom does. I'm not a mom, but I know that there were times where I slacked helping my partner because of the hours I was working and the strain it put on our relationship and how hard it can make things when it can be as simple as, hey, I had a long day at work before I go shower or before I take the decompression time. Is there anything you need me to do to help you real quick? And that simple sentence can mean the whole world to your partner. And sometimes it's, yeah, can you just take the trash out? Or, yeah, can you just get the kids a snack? Or it can be a number of things. But most of the time, it only takes a few minutes, and those few minutes completely helps their day. Or it can be the thing that just helps them over the hump that is their day when they have a long day. And it's not hard to do. A lot of times we get lost in our work lives and the everyday hustle of things and the pattern and the rhythm and the repetition. And it's easy to get lost in those things, especially if you work shift or night shift. It's super easy to just get lost in things and not take care of the shit you need to take care of. But you don't have that option. You don't. You can't let those things pile up. And as someone with problems where sometimes it piles up, every time it does, I regret it because then I have to work two, three times as hard taking care of it all when it's so much simpler just to do a little bit here and there or a little bit every day and to take care of it. But it's hard. Dad guilt will hit you at the worst times. Literally, as I was talking about, I didn't plan on talking about dad guilt today, but I felt a fucking lot of it today because it's almost summer. Kiddo's gonna be out of school. There's things that I'm gonna want to do, and he's gonna be home, and both of them are gonna be home. I'm gonna say no. I gotta go to work today, or no, I have night shift. I have to go to work while you sleep, and I know they're gonna be sad. And it's gonna suck, and it's hard. But I'm a dad. They look up to me. I provide for them. I wouldn't change it for the world. I would not change it for anything. I love my kids and I love my family. And I love the life that I've been able to provide for them. I busted my ass for it. Another another thing that has been kind of blowing my mind recently is I see a lot of people that say they can't find a job. And I can only imagine how hard that is. I've seen it. I know that there are so many job postings. Like from what I understand, it's on like not LinkedIn, but Indeed and stuff like that, where people are applying and they just never get a call back. And you see videos of people showing you they've applied to like 30 different places and they never get a call back. And it's crazy. And I I know it has to be hard if you're one of those parents and you're struggling to find a job. If you're a man, go get a labor job. I promise you, there's not a shortage of laborers anywhere near your city. Anywhere. There's not a shortage of certain jobs that you can go. If you are a provider and you lose your job for whatever reason, it's your job to pick yourself back up immediately. You don't get a fucking break. You don't get to sit on your ass. Immediately, you go find another job. And don't let your pride get in the way of you making money to support your family. You can't say, oh, I'm not going to go work at McDonald's. The fuck? They make $15 an hour now. If I lost my job right now, and there's other things that I would go do, but if I couldn't find anything else and I saw a McDonald's is hiring sign, I'm going to make $15 an hour. Because that $15 an hour is better than $0 an hour. And I got diapers and shit I got to buy. I have clothes that they need. They need shoes. I have to pay daycare fees. Oh, look, the light bill. You have shit you have to take care of. Swallow your pride and take care of it. I don't understand this stigma of there are jobs that you're better than. You're not better than. You're not. We're all struggling out here. Fucking go flip that hamburger or whatever you find. Grocery stores are almost always hiring. Literally. Grocery stores, part stores, McDonald's, fast food restaurants, construction, general laborers, apprenticeships. Call the plumbing companies around you right now and say, hey, are y'all hiring any helpers? I almost guarantee you'll find one of them that says, yeah, when can you start? Because those are the jobs that people are overlooking now. And we're from the generation where they were always telling you, you have to go to college. You have to go to college. For what? A piece of paper that don't mean shit now? No. I'm glad I didn't go to college. I know people that are in college right now. They are bettering themselves. Good for them. But I also know people that went to college for 8 years since whenever we left high school. They have a master's and they're not using that fucking degree. And they're in thousands, tens of thousands of student loans debt. And it's not doing shit for them. Quit thinking you're above jobs. Go work. Go make money. Do what you have to do. You're not better than that person flipping a burger. You're not better than that person cleaning that toilet. Do you clean your toilet at home? Yeah, you do. I promise. You can go in there and spray it off with that cleaning hose and use that mop bucket and clean that floor. Because if it is between you and providing for your kids, swallow your pride. Handle your shit. I don't know. I saw, I don't know how many TikToks. I was just literally scrolling. And there was a Am I the Asshole from Reddit. Most time they're hilarious. This one was super serious. It was like, Am I the asshole for kicking my husband out because he lost his job a year ago and he still doesn't have a job and da 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 da. And obviously it's gonna be a one-sided story. We don't know his side of the story. But this is just what I'm hearing from this video as it shows me the Reddit post. And the whole time she was giving him opportunities like, hey, there's a job interview here. Why do you go? Hey, look, they're hiring over here. And I understand there are times where it's just like, yeah, just you've been telling me every day. I understand. I need to get a job. Blah blah blah. Sorry ass attitude to have, but I can see. But every time he would look at the jobs or things like that, he's like, I'm not doing that. I have all this experience here. I'm just waiting for them to hire there again. Or I'm just waiting for them to hire something in my field or things like that. Or, he could have gotten like an assistant manager gig, I think it was, and it paid like $20 an hour. He's like, no, I can make way more. I just have to wait. Stop waiting. How long are those savings going to last if you're lucky to have savings? Highly unlikely you have savings right now. Just fucking saying. Because if you do, you're blessed. Good for you. But I saw so many cases where it was just they're waiting for this job or they're waiting for them to hire at this one place or I have these degrees. I should work somewhere where these degrees are making me money. Those degrees are a piece of paper until they make you money. No one's saying that those jobs have to be permanent jobs. We're not saying that you're going to work at McDonald's and stuff forever. We're not saying that you're going to work in these places forever. But you can work there until you find that job you're talking about waiting on for so long. You can work there, keep applying for other jobs, beef your resume, comb your resume, go to these places and say, hey, I put in for this job. I just wanted to bring my resume up here. Go in person. Quit fucking emailing. It would mean so much more to that hiring manager or that manager if you came in person and not just sent an email or applied on a website. It's lost to people now, I guess, the old ways of how it used to work. Go get the job. You're not above it, and you're not better than anybody else. So that's all for today. Uh, you're a good dad, even on the days where you feel like you aren't, even on the days where you have to work, and even on the days you feel like you're not doing your best or you're hurting because your kids are hurting and they want you home. Keep showing up. You're a good dad, and you've got this, and I believe in you, and I'm here, not just on the podcast, but there's a Facebook page, there's a Facebook group. You can message me on here, uh, or on TikTok. You're not alone. There are other dads feeling the exact same way you are. And it's going to be okay. It's going to pass. Keep showing up.